Greetings, viewers, and welcome back to another episode of FitzRupee Cast featuring Dawn of War 2 Retribution. Red-Rupee here, calling the shots for you as always tonight. And before I get started, I wanted to say thanks to all my viewers who sent me birthday messages. My birthday passed a few days ago, and several viewers sent me messages on Facebook and YouTube, Steam, what have you, all that kind of thing. Thanks a lot, means a lot coming from you guys. And right now, we are in the throes of political warfare over here in America. Tonight is election night, and to distract myself from all the tension, and there is plenty of it, I'm pulling a game out of my archives. I've had this game for quite a while, and it's quite fun. Something to regale you with here tonight. So let's take a look at our players. You can see we are on Legis High Stratum, the Imperial City map here under a deluge of rainfall. Mr. Shadows of Warp on the blue side as the Eldar farseer with all her lovely support spells, and then Mr. Harreh Pottah currently as Pottah X on the red side as the Imperial Lord General. Also with several support abilities, but a ranged hero as opposed to a melee hero. I actually see him get used in melee quite often. He does have his sword there. You can see him one-arming that big old bolter there with that mechanical arm. Truly a tough fella, the Lord General, and quite a gentleman with that fancy coat and mustache. And this is going to be a tricky game. Eldar, I always feel like, have a good advantage on Legis, but that's just me. Eldar is very mobile, and of course they can pop up those warp gates wherever and really just tuck them back in these rear corners and off-map locations that are really not anywhere central to any real strategic value. So lots of little places to sneak that kind of thing around. Farseer generally good and mobile on her own as well. Warp Spider is really the guy to watch out for on this map, but I feel like Farseer is nothing to mess around with either. Of course, Eldar, notorious for having a difficult time in Tier 1 against Imperial Guard, against these Sentinels and things like that. In our first little skirmish we have right here, Guardians facing off against the Sentinel and Guardsmen, picking off a couple Guardians before much else happens. Guardians sitting behind green cover, good use of cover, keeping those guys on the field. You could see Shadows of Warp choosing to target those Guardsmen, and that's exactly what you want to do. Get the Guardsmen off the field, and then without repair, that Sentinel's going to have to choose whether to stay on the field and risk losing the Sentinel early on or fall back and cede map control. So triple Guardians against Sentinel and one squad of Guardsmen. Pottah dropping a quick generator, which probably, if I were to guess, means we're going to see some Catechins coming onto the field here soon. Sentinel decides to fall back after picking off a Guardian trying to cap that VP, and the two heroes kind of ships passing in the night, capping points right behind each other. Farseer is probably going to turn around and engage this Lord General and try to take him off of the map. Of course, he's very difficult to keep off the map if you can't really focus fire him down, because he will just reinforce his retinue members, these stormtroopers you can see right there, as he's engaging these Guardians in melee. Actually getting a nice little sync kill right there. Ranged commanders with sync kills, always fun to see. And the Lord General's probably just going to kite around with this Farseer in pursuit. Being able to reinforce those members kind of essentially heals him, of course, of large chunks of HP while he's on the field. So he's actually pretty difficult to force off, and he's actually going to hop right inside of this guard tower next to Shadow of Warp's natural power farm. Shadow of Warp still with just a single node up. You can take a look up here. You can see Pottah has 2 generators up, so Warp is going to be behind on the tech race so far. And there goes one of those stormtroopers. There goes the second, but of course they'll be reinforcing as soon as the opportunity arises. And here comes the Catechin Devils in this side of the map. Guardians battling with the Sentinel and Guardsmen, actually getting kind of trapped back there between a lot of them. Lord General still trying to buy some time, just running around, keeping the Farseer from capping. Pottah's not really doing much with the Lord General, but if nothing else, it's preventing the Farseer from running around with capping. Grenade coming in from the Guardians, and he dodges it, retreats, and gets out of there. Catechin's coming in behind both squads of Guardians, though. The first one falls back. The second gonna grab some VP, and then looks like we're already gonna see some trickiness from the Catechins, dropping a little improvised explosive IED right there. Imperial Guardsmen grabbing some points. Pottah actually going pretty light as far as squads go. Only has 3 squads on the field, 2 that can cap, and of course this hero Sentinel can decap, but of course not cap themselves. Shadows of Warp doing a good job keeping the VPs in his favor. He hasn't lost a single tick yet. Still sitting pretty at 500 VPs. But it looks like that might be changing here if these catechins manage to get the cap. Not really much to deal with them right now, unless you can keep them kind of under control with that Shuriken weapons team. Those Guardians are just going to melt under catechin fire, especially if they're caught out of cover. And here comes the Shuriken, indeed, facing the middle VP right now, but if you look, I guess, at his Fog of War, he can't quite see those catechins, and as soon as they cap it, they walk right out. Catechin's taking some fire, but the Shuriken is getting flanked from behind. Some VPs finally ticking off for Pottah. Or sorry, ticking off against Shadows of War for Pottah. Lord General has his Sarge on the field, which will be distributing med packs among the men as he gets out to support them. In the meantime, Shuriken's going to get forced off here almost definitely. It might actually go down if it sticks around. No, he does see the catechins and falls back. If those catechins had gotten into the retreat path, that may have been all she wrote for the Shuriken weapon team right there. Farseer has to fall back after engaging that Lord General with the Guardians, trying to whittle away a little bit there. Catechin bombs still up over on this side of the map. And another one in the retreat path. Uh-oh, these Guardians might be in a bit of trouble right here. Let's see what happens. There might be spread out enough, and oh man! One lone Guardian manages to get out of there with 15 HP, and in the smoking crater there you can see his poor fallen comrades. Anyways, good play there by Pottah. Almost netted himself a sweet little squad kill there. Would have been a nice play for him early on at this stage of the game. Anyways, both players getting ready to head into Tier 2 here shortly. Both players have the resources to do it. They just have to hit the button. Guardians constantly bleeding to this Sentinel. Pottah doing a good job of keeping that thing constantly firing, constantly whittling away at enemy troops, and that's exactly what you want to do. Just keep it on the edge of any firing arcs and just constantly pumping that multi-laser blaster into these Guardians and Shuriken weapon team. Eldar really can't do too much about it. This map is so spread out that you rarely see any major engagements here. Everything is just little skirmishes here and there, little scuffles and melees on either side of the map. A nice grenade going down right on top of that. Lord General manages to take out one of the Stormtroopers, at least getting a little bleed out of that engagement. But the Guardian's in lots of trouble in middle, getting engaged and melee by the Catechins. I don't think Shadows of War sees it, and it goes down. In the meantime, on the right side of the map, Farseer engaging the Sentinel and Guardsmen, forcing them off. Sentinel just barely getting away there with 100 HP. Sounds like a lot, but for the one model, it can go down very quickly. Both players heading into Tier 2 right now. Not sure what either side's going to bring onto the field. Shadows of War might be bringing a Wraith Lord onto the field here shortly. Multi-laser turret up here, been defending the top VP. That's why Shadows hasn't gotten it. It really won't do much on its own against something like Banshees or a Farseer, but it's enough to deter Guardians from really taking this victory point. And you can see that's exactly what he wants. He wants Shadows to send some Guardians up here, not realize the turret, lose a couple models, and then retreat right over this IED. So, oh no, and speaking of IEDs, there goes one right on top of that Shuriken weapons team. Unfortunately, not quite doing enough to scare it off from the cap. He's got nothing to support it. Did lose a single member, so not a wasted bomb at all. That Shuriken's probably going to have to retreat as soon as it finishes the cap. There it goes. And a Manticore coming onto the field for Pottah. Manticore actually super useful on this map, if you ask me. That Manticore can just sit here right in front of Pottah's outpost and hit all three VPs from that point. So it's really going to help map control in Pottah's favor, and with it sitting right in front of the base, really Shadows of War's only option is to bring this Wraith Lord. Or actually, nope, that was a Wraith Guard. The icons look so similar that I always think that it's one or the other, and I tend to always be wrong on that count. Anyways, Pottah now with some artillery on the field, and with the VPs changing into his hand, it's going to be very difficult, I feel like, for Shadows of War to get any map control back here. He's down by about 140 VPs right now, sitting at about 300 to 444. And Wraithguard moving into the center here. Catechin's going to have to be very careful. Wraithguard with Guide, Farseer Guide making these Wraithguard able to engage at what I feel like is a much more suitable range for an artillery unit. The Wraith Guard's artillery range is actually just kind of a bit low, if you ask me, but with Guide it really evens it out, and as we can see, it made short work of the Catachin Devils, sent them back, packing home, and Shuriken over here trying to keep an eye on this Western VP while the Guardians come up to grab the cap. 263 to 444, both power farms sitting full. Ghost Helm on the Farseer. Kind of a curious choice there, really, I feel like, against Imperial Guard. I mean, I suppose you can pick off specific models of the Lord General's retinue. You could take out that Sarge or Commissar with Mind War if you spot it in click in time. There goes the Mind War on the Catachins, though, and proving me wrong. Taking out Catachins is certainly nothing to scoff at. Unfortunately, they are moving in for melee, and everything's going to have to fall back. They survived the Mind War. A couple nice volleys from those Wraith Guard managed to make short work of the Guardsmen that were supporting them, though, and force them back. Another Manticore strike coming down. Is Shadows paying attention? Luckily, those rockets not quite on target, I guess, hitting this kind of little structure here. That tends to actually take a lot of fire in general over here. But Shuriken and Guardians whittling away at the Lord General. He tried to put up that refractor field, and that does really mitigate tons of range damage. But he did have to fall back as soon as that wore off. And now, kind of just hanging out in the center. Catachins constantly booby-trapping the VPs along with the Manticore, bombing everything, really getting the VP advantage here. A second Catachin bomb going down right here in the center. Still one over here on the left as well. Really trying to lock down the map and cause some hurt to those Guardians. And a Wraith Lord for real is on the field now. Bright yellow Wraith Lord moving into the front. And the great thing about walkers on this map is that you can break these walls here that separate the power farms and then just expose your enemy. So he'll be able to just sit these Wraith Guards right in the middle and force Pottah to come react. Otherwise he risks losing his farm. Yeah, you can see exactly that's what happened. The Wraith Lord just moved in, stomped on the walls, and then fell back. Catachins and the Lord General coming in from behind them. Mine were going down on the Catachins. Couple shots and oh my goodness! A beautiful shot. Man, if that Wraith Guard wasn't guided, I don't know what is. Wow, one blast into that swarm of Catachins and took out the whole squad right there. It was pretty injured, but there was one Wraith Lord waiting to get a final shot in there. However, Sentinel upgraded with the missile launcher, sending those anti-vehicle missiles into that Wraith Guard, or Wraith Lord rather. Wraith Guard engaged by the Guardsmen. Actually will lose to Guardsmen, I think, with that Commissar, especially if they take out that Warlock and stun them. However, the Wraith Lord has to fall back. There's not really much to do with his Sentinel right now. Farseer's going to try to do something about it and get these Guardsmen off of the Wraith Guards. But a few more shots and that Wraith Lord's going to go down. It looks like a couple Guardians finally trying to take out that turret on that side. The Wraith Guards might actually fall to melee from Guardsmen, but it looks like they are going to escape. Oh man, still in hot pursuit of the Wraith Lord. The Sentinel trying to get that last shot in. Is he going to be able to make it? He's going to have to run into the base and take maybe some shuriken fire, but there it goes. A creeping barrage as well, trying to make sure they secured it. Might have been a bit early to try to finish off that Wraith Guard, but down goes the Wraith Lord. Losing that to a Sentinel has got to be frustrating. That Wraith Lord really what Shadows needed to stay on the field right now. It also could have run into the base and dealt with that Manticore, which is pretty far up, all things considered. Had that Wraith Lord moved in this direction and maybe just tried to luff that Sentinel back, he may have been able to snag a quick Manticore kill in exchange for losing the Wraith Lord. It's Manticore trying to get some machine gun kills in there. Catachin's trying to get a explosive charge down, but realizing they weren't going to get it in time. And Sentinel doing a great job, level 3 now, after killing several infantry and picking off that Wraith Lord. Ghost Helm going off again and really keeping these Catachins under control. Pottah decided to get a second squad of Catachins, realizing that that's really what's been keeping him on the field so far, is those Catachins. And we can see warp gates going up on either side of the far VPs, which is really going to allow Shadows of Warp to react to any threat pretty quickly. Wraith Guards weren't always able to use those webway gates, but now that they can, really going to allow Pottah to just react to either of any of the infantry that shows up. Or sorry, allows Shadows to react to Pottah. Another Manticore strike coming down. Lord General, level 4 with plenty of members in his retinue now. Has both his Commissar and his Sergeant right now, only mixing the Vox Operator, the member I couldn't think of earlier. Squad of Plasma Guardsmen engaging these Wraith Guard. If they have to take a lot of damage and then retreat, all they need to do is turn and fire and they can obliterate those Guardsmen. Down they go. Catechins engaging Guardians in the center. Wraith Guard aren't going to have to retreat over that bomb. Lord General spotted the webway gate over on the left side of the map. I was really expecting these Wraith Guards to maybe get in trouble if a Manticore strike had come down, cause them some damage, and then force them to retreat. Shadows of Warp still has no detection and has no idea what's going on here. This might be the kill right here. Manticore landing a couple shots right there. That's not going to be enough to kill the Wraith Guard, I don't think. Maybe pick off that... Oh, the Warlock did survive. Catechin still in the retreat path. Managing to take out the Wraith Guard and their Warlock. Two of them are going to escape, though. Pottah really playing nasty right now. A second Manticore on the field. Going to just lock down all the VPs with artillery fire. Sentinel just launching rockets at the Shuriken Cannon over here on this side of the map. 227 to 378. Shadows of Warp still at a pretty reasonable VP deficit, but going to be able to try to bring it back here now that he has his webway gates up. But really his priority has got to be dealing with this Manticore. Another volley going down right there. Missiles just falling from the sky. But Shadows of War can't get a solid foothold anywhere. Been using the Shuriken to great effect on the western side of the map, similar to Pottah using his turret on the eastern side. But both players have eliminated both of those. Oh no! The Altark drop coming down to obliterate some guardsmen that were hiding from the farseer in that guard tower. A nice squad kill that's going to help Shadows of Warp out because that leaves only a couple squads for Pottah to cap with it all. All the VPs are neutral. Wraith Guard kind of just hanging out cloaked by the webway gate. They're going to have to try to cap here, I think, though. Without their Warlock, they're just so painfully slow. Warlock coming on right now in the third. Is that a third Manticore coming on for Pottah? Pottah showing no remorse and spamming artillery. A stun going down and then a Manticore strike. Getting that Sentinel into stomp and then evacuating underneath of that artillery flare signal. And another strike. Wow, missiles just raining from the sky constantly here from Pottah. There's going to be a third Manticore on the field soon as well, and just not going to have anything to counter that until Shadows of Warp can get into Pottah's base and deal with these. Look, there's one, two, where's the third one? Coming in right now, getting dropped off. And our third artillery platform. Months of vehicles on the field for Pottah. That's how Imperial Guard likes to play, but there's just an artillery base sitting there. Nice looking grenade on those Catechins. Unfortunate that those Guardians are not going to be able to finish them off, I don't think. Creeping Barrage going down, trying to scare them off. They do retreat, and I think they're going to retreat right through it. Oh no! Down goes another Guardian squad. If Shadows of Warp had just waited there, he probably would have been alright. Altark with the fusion gun now harassing the base of Pottah, trying to get some shots on those Manticores. She can go quite a while under Tarantula turret fire before she finally gets suppressed, so Pottah's really going to have to make sure he's paying attention to the back line there. Another webway gate you can see went up here. Probably going to just keep sending that Altark out and trying to get some shots on the Manticore. With the webway cloak of the Farseer. Certainly a viable strategy. Manticore strike coming in. I'm not sure if the Guardians see it. They do just in time, barely getting out from under those rockets. And Manticores just constantly firing. 302 to 227. Altark hanging out in the middle now. Altark's going to be very useful with her leap and her crazy mobility. Manticore keeping her from getting anything done. And there's one Manticore for every VP here now. Oh man, Wraithguard coming in over on this side of the map. Didn't quite get into range. Kind of tried to stealth there from the webway gate, but they were just too slow to get anywhere useful. I'm not sure if he spotted those or not. It looked like the Manticore was moving away. Guardians under peril again as the Catechins pick off a few on retreat. And there's just nothing that Shadows can do. Shadows trying to get something here. He's tier 3 though. Pottah spent so much money on those Manticores. Shadows is tier 3 and looks like at this point going straight for an avatar. There's nothing else he'd be saving up for at this point in the game except for that. He does have the red, or no he doesn't. He's been dropping warp gates all over the place. I was going to say he does have the red for maybe a Seer Council, but I was mistaken. And now Pottah just using the Manticores to finish off power and power farm. Yeah, here comes another strike over here on the power farms. Triple Manticores. Oh, it's just not even nice. Catechins and the Lord General just engaging everything in melee, forcing off Wraithguards wherever they can. Sentinel doing a good job, been constantly harassing, almost level 4 now. Pottah's actually been investing a lot in the extra armor, keeping this thing high health.
We have lost the structure to the enemy.
And everything's kind of hanging out in the center here. Sentinel needs to fall back. I'm not sure if he's paying attention. There it goes. Falls back, gets some repair. Guardians moving into position.
We have 200 points remaining.
And the Manticore has to take it down. So, Shadows of War bringing the Avatar onto the field. Pottah's going to need something to deal with that. He's got Catechins, he's got Plasma Guardsmen, and a Sentinel. A pretty beefed up Lord General, but man, I think that Avatar is just going to be able to stomp right in and destroy these 3 Manticores if Pottah isn't ready for it. Wraithguards trying to get some more shots off here, taking out several guardsmen in the first volley. Lord General's moving in to engage them in melee. A little affray right there as the Manticore drops yet another barrage on the central VP. Shadows of Warp can't capture anything with missiles raining from the sky. Basilisk creeping barrages coming in from all angles. But hey, what is a Manticore going to do to this? Avatar moving onto the field, just blazing into action as soon as it comes out. Gonna force off that Lord General, no problem. Taking out a Stormtrooper in the first swing. And looks like Pottah's going to try to sneak himself the Western VP. Of course, that Sentinel's going to have to flank in, get the kill on that Shuriken cannon. Oh no, but I'm not sure if he's paying attention. Oh, the Shuriken takes out that highly vetted weapons team. Oh, but look, we've got a sneak attack, an incursion on Pottah's base. Down to 2 Manticores. Wraithguard went in from the left. Manticore engaging over here on the right. Wraithguard, oh, misfiring there, attacking the Bastion. But it looks like the Avatar moving in for the kill. One of those Manticores went down anyways. And yeah, there's just nothing Pottah can do. He's going to lose all 3 of his Manticores right here. Avatar's taking some pretty heavy damage between the Lord General and those Catechin Devils. Catechin's level 3, Lord General at level 5. Here comes a Wailing Doom right on top of all of it, knocking Catechins right off of it. Oh, but the Autarch just comes out of the webway gate, knows right where that Manticore is. Avatar getting forced off, but it doesn't matter because the Autarch was there with her fusion gun and finished off the 3rd, leaving Pottah with just a lowly 2 infantry squads left. Shadows of Warp suddenly in a much more favorable position. I guess that goes without saying at this point. Don't need any added verbiage from me on that. But Pottah not hesitating. He says, destroy my Manticores. I don't care. I'll bring on some more. This is going to be a 4th Manticore for Pottah. Shadows of Warp getting getting his VPs back. Still down by about 100 VPs so far. But without those manticores, he can pretty much cap wherever he wants. All he has to do is deal with those catechins. Those catechins, such great squad independence, though. Really, no one squad can deal with catechins, I think. Farseer getting the armor of a Surian, gonna be able to use Time Field. And in the meantime, Catechin's probably just going to camp this VP up here. They can stealth now that they have their leaders. So they're probably just going to grab that VP and then sit out of sight in the meantime. Manticore coming in once again. Shadows of War thought he was safe from artillery, but Pottah shows that he has no plans to stop dropping rockets on this map. Against Eldar, it's just so useful to be able to defend any of the VPs at any given time. It looks like these Guardians might just barely get out of there. Oh man, even through an old reliable sitting there, 24 HP on retreat. A nice little sneak attack there from Pottah, trying to take out that last Guardian squad. Wraithguard getting pushed back by the Lord General and his guardsmen. and oh man, Avatar coming back out. And I think this is probably going to be the part where Pottah loses. Because unless he can get something out here to deal with this Avatar, he's just going to go right back into his base, intrude on his nice little happy bastion, and take out this Manticore. Manticore again firing on that Avatar, but not quite hitting. Manticore's in a lot of trouble as the Avatar's moving in on it. Again, Creeping Barrage going down on the Shuriken weapons team that's been constantly defending the point over here. Pottah should have just made more of a point to take out that Shuriken when he had the opportunity. And Avatar choosing not to go for the Manticore, deciding instead to turn around and take out these guardsmen on retreat. Oh man, and he is going to take it out too. If he's got a Wailing Doom ready, which I think he does, it's just kind of waiting there. Getting a quick swing, I'm not sure. It looks like they got too far. He needed to activate that Wailing Doom a bit sooner. Catechin's now sneaking around in the center once again. It looks like they're going to be the target of the Avatar right here. Actually, it's just standing there. Shadow's trying to keep an eye on everything, but kind of slipping up on his micro. Needs to get his Wraithguard and his Farseer back on the field to do some capping. 173 to 186. He's evened it out. Catechin's running around trying to buy some time with that Avatar right there. They're trying to put down an explosive device right there in the face of the Avatar. They do get it down. Shadows can't quite tell where it is. Of course, he can see that the Catechins did place it. He just doesn't know where exactly the IED is placed around them. Altark switched over to her Executioner Blade. She's just going to be running around capping. Don't need to worry about her bleeding at all. IED goes off, misses any real kills on those Wraithguard, and Pottah now bringing a Lemon Rust tank onto the field. Guardsmen trying to get this capture, but I don't think they're going to be able to do it with that Shuriken there. That Shuriken has just been on its own over here, keeping this VP in the hands of Shadows of Warp forever. And oh no, the Guardsmen actually under a lot of trouble right now. Oh, and here goes the Wailing Doom. Is it going to connect? They're not going to get out of there in time, and oh no! There goes the whole squad. Guardsmen so susceptible to those big AoE attacks, and just getting entirely obliterated. Guardsman bits everywhere. Oh man, what a mess. Guardsman coming onto the field for Pottah to replace that lost squad instantly, but that squad was very vetted. It was either level 3 or 4 at this point in the game. I'm not sure which. Lemon Rust coming onto the field to put some pressure on that Avatar and keep it from running around freely. It did destroy the last Manticore. Pottah now down 4 Manticores. Shadows of Warp only down a Wraith Lord and a couple of Guardsman squads. Lord General constantly engaging everything in melee here, beating up Guardsmen, beating up Shurikens, picking off one last member with his sniper rifle there on retreat. And 173 to 128. Wraithguard in the back here, causing some trouble, trying to take out a base turret. Looks like they might be able to get this one. There is, of course, a default turret on the Bastion there, firing away. One of the only bases that has one of those. A built-in defensive cannon once it's upgraded. 173 to 128. Pottah pushing out with his Lemon Rust tank. putting some pressure on the Avatar, forcing it back. Shadow's gonna have to cede some land for a little while here. And saving up for something else big, possibly a Seer Council this time around. He does have the red for it. I'm correct this time, no longer mistaken. And it's just going to be a capping war to the end here. That's the only problem with Legis, is that it just turns into capping wars late game, which can be very intense when you're trying to capture all 3 victory points. It looks like it's not that exciting at times, but when you're a player and you're trying to watch all 3 of these spread out VPs and keep the right forces on all of them, it can be a definite headache. Of course, I'm not a fan of this map being a Space Marine player because I feel like, oh, I'm just so slow, don't have any good mobility options, and I can't move around anywhere. Pottah's managed to take out all of Shadow's webway gates, except for, of course, the one by his base, which was the bane of his manticores. Seer Council coming onto the field now, and man, that Lord General's going to have to get out of there. He's level 9, by the way. A very fierce Lord General. Farseer level 7. It's been a long game. Seer Counts are on the field now. Gonna be chasing around guardsmen and tanks. Hitting the fleet of foot, trying to charge in there, keep them from going anywhere near that westernmost VP. Hero Shuriken over on the left side really been keeping some VPs from getting out of control here. Shadow's managing to bring it back right now after Pottah went for 4 manticores and just trying to be a mean fella by dropping rockets from the sky, raining destruction upon the Eldar player. You can see by these VPs that's all it is just scorched earth, craters everywhere, manticore strikes, and the creeping barrages going down on all of this constantly. Pottah's not completely out of this game really though. I mean, he kept control for so long that he's really able to stay in this despite losing so many squads and so many vehicles. Lord General forcing off the Wraith Guard. 173 to 90 right now. And Pottah's going to have to start feeling that victory point squeeze here shortly. He needs to get out here quick. Shuriken Cannon going to be in trouble once that Layman Russ moves up here. And here it comes up the stairs with that big old bulldozer. Seer Council coming out to support it, however. Along with the Wraith Guard, this tank might be in a lot of trouble if it doesn't fall back quickly. Creeping barrage going down on top of that Shuriken weapons team. It's going to get out of there, though, but it catches the Seer Council and the Farseer, preventing them from sticking around too long. Catachans once again spotting the webway gate and taking it out. They needed to stop that for a moment to get the capture. Guardians missed their grenade, and Catachan's going to get that side of the map once again. 51 to 173. Shadows of Warp putting some pressure on finally with this Avatar out here. Pottah not hesitating to bring yet another Manticore out onto the field with the tank. However, though, I feel like he can really kind of protect that this time around. Avatar's going to be a nuisance, of course, but with a Layman Russ on the field, it's really just not going to be able to charge around as it pleases anymore and intrude upon Pottah's base like it has been.
Yes.
So Farseer getting some caps in, Seer Council over here, and those improvised explosive devices not going to be as fruitful now that there's just kind of a lot of single unit squads capping on the field. Altark went down at some point, or perhaps Skyleaf back. I didn't catch what happened with her. Manticore strike happening right on top of this Shuriken weapons team. I'm not sure if Shadow sees it though, and it's taken some fire. Oh man, a direct hit from the third rocket of that barrage finishes off that Shuriken cannon that's been such a thorn in Pottah's side, and that might actually allow him to get some of the caps he needs to here. Manticore now kiting around with the Lemon Russ and Catachans, pouring fire into that Avatar, and that's exactly what he needed. Forced it off the field, but needs to take out these webway gates. These webway gates are just constantly allowing Shadows of Warp to take map back.
We must save the lost ones.
And it might be a short game here coming shortly for Pottah. He's got 20 VPs left and really just not able to hold on. Shadows kind of turned it around there, being able to destroy all the artillery that Pottah invested in. Of course, it was a reasonable strategy. Three manticores, one for each VP. You can just sit them in your base. Ah, and some heavy turrets coming onto the field here. I'm not sure how useful that'll be, however, with the Wraith Guard on the field. Pottah's going to try to do what he can, though, to really lock down these VPs. Farseer's not going to be able to hack up these guardsmen quickly enough to keep that VP. However, getting a nice special attack there, and Seer Council suddenly on the field, scaring away those guardsmen. Going to do some heavy damage on retreat. In the meantime, Farseer dropping that time field, allowing the Avatar and Seer Council to get in position. Still a webway gate over here where the Lord General's getting captured, or sorry, capturing the VP. Wraith Guard moving in. He's probably just going to activate that refractor field. In the meantime, a manticore going down. 5 VPs left for Pottah. Oh my goodness. I don't think he's going to be able to hold on here. Seer Council and Avatar hanging out. Lord General able to get the cap over on the western side of the map while the Seer Council finishes everything over here on the eastern side. Oh man, a lone Sarge after another splat from Wailing Doom. 5 EPs to 150. And here comes the Autarch drop. She's coming down right on top of the Lord General, but she's going to finish off her own Wraith Guard squad. And she was defeated. She doesn't have her war gear, so she was taken out possibly by the Catechins, I think, while capping a point. Manticore stalling the game out as long as possible. An injured Avatar charging up against these Catechin devils. Layman Russ over here trying to force off that Farseer. Might be able to do so. She's not going to be able to get the cap. She kind of hesitated, and in a moment of hesitation, lost that cap. However, the Autarch's on the field with the Avatar hanging out in the center. The double A squad here. Catechin's going to have to fall back there against the force of the Avatar. Lemon Rust moving in. Guardsman over here, but as soon as anything hops out of that warp gate, that's going to prevent the capture. Pottah completely spread out all over the place, grabbing the VPs wherever he can, trying to force the Autarch off. She does get the decap. 5 VPs left. Oh, and that's ticking down because Lord General didn't get the cap, and he's not going to be able to get the decap in time, so the game goes to Shadows of Warp. Oh, man. That was wacky. I don't even know. Five manticores from Pottah. Of course, had 3 on the field at once at one point and really locked down the map, but as soon as Shadows of Warp was able to get the Avatar on the field, Pottah really should have prioritized taking out that power farm. When he had the manticores on the field, he could have just spotted the power farm and been obliterating generators with continuous manticore strikes, and that would have prevented Shadows of Warp from getting his tier 3 and bringing the Avatars on so quickly, and allowed Pottah to maybe get a tank or something on the field to defend from this impending doom. And oh man, it looks like some Catechins are about to fall right there as well. Anyways, that's pretty much it for the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Feel free to comment, subscribe, talk about the game, like commentary, whatever you want. I always appreciate it. And this is Red-Rupee. I'll be catching you guys next time.